These plays are going to make you some money today. This is the Daily Profit brought to you by Linemaker Sports. On today's show, we're going to go through the NBA and also we're going to do a full breakdown of Thursday night football between the Bengals and the Ravens. But before we get to that, let's talk about yesterday's show. So across the show, we ended up going 1 and 2. All right, so the props really didn't come through. A lot of those probability ones, they fell short. But let's go to the F-bombs now. The F-bombs that we had. We had Domantas Sabonis to go over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had a 76% probability to do so. He ended up smashing that one. Luka, he had a 74% probability to go over 44.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He ended up crushing that one as well. He didn't really crush it. I mean, he got over it decently, but decent there. All right, Luka, he's been a little bit inconsistent. We probably have lost on him like 3 or 4 times to start the season, but luckily we ended up grabbing that one last night. And then we went to New Orleans, Brandon Ingram. All right, he had a 78% probability to go under 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And that number was available before they said Zion if he was going to play or if he wasn't. He ended up playing, which actually helped us there because then the usage got spread out between him and Zion, and Ingram ended up going under that 39.5. So 3-0 on the F-bombs yesterday. If you guys want the F-bombs, go and click the link in the description. All right, it's that simple. And I keep getting questions too once you get in the group. Where are the F-bombs? Where are they at? They are under the player props. All right, all you got to do is look. They're under NBA player props, NHL player props, NFL player props. That's where they're at. All right, so if you are looking for them once you get in the group, that's where they are. Now let's go ahead and get started on today's slate. We're going to start with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has a 67% probability to go over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's going against the 26th best team at guarding the shooting guard position. So it's set up pretty decently for him tonight to be able to hit that mark. He hits that mark pretty consistently, and that's throughout last season as well. There is an if because Julius Randle has been added to the lineup, so the usage is has to be knocked around a little bit and shared a little bit with Randle. But Randle also has a good matchup tonight as well. So that's the only downside for the Anthony Edwards play here is Randle could possibly go off, and that could hurt Edwards. Now let's get to Zach LaVine tonight. Zach LaVine has a 68% probability to go over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's going against the 24th best team at guarding the small forward position. Now, there is a questionable tag on Zach LaVine tonight, so definitely keep an eye on that. If you put it in before and prior, if he sits, you end up getting your money back, so it's not that bad anyway. Now, the only thing with Zach LaVine is this data is off of limited games last year. All right, he's only played 25 games. So, with that said, we have limited data backing the probabilities here, so I don't really like that there's a limited amount of stuff that we have to look at here for Zach LaVine, but there is some good things as well, as in he should be able to be the highest usage player on the court if he is playing tonight. So he has a decent matchup with being the highest usage player on that squad. If he takes the court, he does have a good opportunity to go over that 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists, which is not that much. All right, he is one that can get a decent amount of rebounds and assists to go along with his points. So 23.5 is not that hard for him to get. So he has a decent probability of that happening. But again, if he is fighting an injury, that could possibly derail that whole entire number. All right, if he ends up playing and he's playing hurt, that could definitely hurt the probability of what you're looking at there. So definitely keep an eye to see if Zach LaVine is going to be playing player. That if Zach LaVine ends up sitting out, Vucevic, he has a 68% probability to go over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's going against the 22nd best team at guarding the center position tonight. Obviously, that probability goes up if Zach LaVine ends up sitting. So it's a small NBA slate tonight. There's only a couple games. All right, so you have to kind of find value of where you could possibly grab some stuff at in the NBA. These are some decent options in the NBA that you could possibly do. The Vucevic play, I would say you wait to see if Zach LaVine is going to be out, but you would need to be right on it. Like, as soon as they say Zach LaVine's going to sit, you have to bet this because the number is going to go up. So you won't be able to find a 26.5 number. Similar to Brandon Ingram last night for us. As soon as they announced that Zion was playing, now you couldn't find that under 39.5 anymore. It went right down to like 37.5, 36.5. So you have to be right on top of those things because literally within a couple minutes, those lines will adjust and you won't be able to get those numbers anymore. So again, tonight you might want to wait to see Chicago Bulls kind of, what's going on with that lineup there, if Zach LaVine's going to sit or not. If he does sit, Vucevic does become a pretty good play, even probably a higher probability with Zach LaVine out because the usage you will get a decent bump in usage as well. So let's keep an eye out for the Chicago Bulls lineup to see what happens there. All right, let's go through one more time. Anthony Edwards, 67% probability over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We already know he could get that just points. All right, he could definitely go off any given night. The only thing that could hold him back is Randall going off because he has a good matchup too, which takes away from the usage of Edwards. But overall, still 67% probability. And again, we got Zach LaVine tonight going against the 24th best team at guarding the small forward position. He has a 68% probability to go over that 23.5 points, rebounds, and assist mark. There's a questionable tag on him, so definitely wait around to see exactly if he's going to play and if he's playing injured or not. If he's playing with any type of ailment whatsoever, you don't want to be on the prop play of somebody on the over for somebody that's playing injured. So definitely keep an eye out for what his injury is and also if he's playing. Then to Vucevic, the other Chicago Bull. We're going to wait on him to kind of see what's going on with Zach LaVine. If Zach LaVine ends up sitting, this becomes definitely a priority play for sure because that probability gets a little bit of a bump with Vucevic getting a usage percentage bump as well with Zach LaVine sitting out. All right. Again, we got one more day, guys. Tomorrow, giving away $1,000 tomorrow to one of you lucky subscribers / watchers of the show. Make sure you guys go down below, comment GOAT, and make sure you guys are subscribed. All right. And if you win, we will reach out to you and you will get $1,000 cash. We're doing it every Friday until the end of the year. So make sure you guys comment GOAT down below and you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you will not be entered into the list. All right. It's very important. Now let's talk about the Bengals versus the Ravens, Thursday Night Football. So let's go through some just statistics overall between both teams so we could see where we're at here. The Ravens, they're the second best scoring team in the NFL, as the Bengals are the 25th best scoring defense. So Bengals defense, not too good. Bengals are the 7th best scoring team in the NFL, and the Ravens are the 23rd best scoring defense. So right off the bat, just from those stats, we got some high caliber offenses with some lackluster defenses. All right, recipe for a bit of a shootout there for sure. And the Ravens, this is surprising. All right, the Ravens have the 3rd best passing team in the NFL. Usually things were not like that before. All right, they were a rushing dominant team, but Lamar Jackson's been able to air it out and has had some pretty big games. The Bengals are middle of the pack, 17th best at defending the pass. The Bengals are the 7th best passing offense in the league, and the Ravens are the worst at guarding the pass. All right, they are terrible in the secondary. They've been getting crushed this year through the air. They're a bit of a pass funnel team. So Joe Burrow, you would think Joe Burrow could be able to pick and choose what he wants to do tonight, right? But we're going to talk about that in the next slide. The Ravens, they are the first in rushing. Now, this isn't no surprise because that's what they do. They like to run the ball. So the Ravens offense is pretty powerful if you just look at right there. 3rd in passing, 1st in rushing. So the Bengals are going to have their hands full tonight for sure. And the Bengals are less than middle of the pack at defending the rush. They're 18th in the league. Now the Bengals have really no rush game whatsoever. All right, they're 27th in rushing. Not too good at all. Going against a Ravens team that is the best rush defense in the league. So you got to think it's just going to rely heavily on probably Joe Burrow tonight of what he's going to be able to do. Because like I said, Ravens defense pretty much puts you in a pass funnel to where you have to pass the ball. You're not really going to be able to run on them. Now let's talk about pretty much what these defenses give up and where they're vulnerable at. So the Ravens, they give up the 30th most stats against QBs, which is not shocking, obviously, when you have the worst secondary in the league. The Bengals, they give up the 27th most stats to opposing quarterbacks. So right off the bat, you're thinking Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, they have opportunities to have big games tonight, right off the bat is what you're thinking. Then the Ravens, they give up the 30th most stats to wide receivers. Not shocking, obviously, with a terrible secondary. But here's one that is a decent stat, all right? Bengals, they give up the 28th most stats to tight ends, to the Ravens tight ends pretty much tonight, which is not going to be Isaiah Likely because Isaiah Likely is going to be out. So it's going to be Mark Andrews. So that's going to take us to our next slide and talk about the probabilities here, which are a bit shocking even though with the matchups. So Joe Burrow, he has a 44% probability to go over 240 passing yards. All right, that is a low probability because he just, based on the year, he just hasn't been able to get over that number consistently. All right, Jamar Chase, a 55% probability to go over 60 receiving yards. Zay Flowers has a 55% probability to go over 44.5 receiving yards. So the same thing there. Both receivers, Chase has probably one of the best matchups that he's going to have this year. But based off the season of how he's going, he's been a little lackluster. All right, he hasn't been able to be consistent at getting over just 60 receiving yards. Zay Flowers, same thing there. Hasn't been really consistent. The last couple of games, yes, he's eclipsed 100 plus, and he's looking good in the last couple of games. But overall, that probability still is a little bit lackluster. Now we're going to talk about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, he's got a 55% probability to go over 29.5 receiving yards. Now, this number is a little bit, skewed because Isaiah Likely gets more targets when he's playing than Mark Andrews. So he leads the tight end position pretty much on the Ravens when he's playing. So these stats that, we've been able to take from here, not too accurate because Likely was getting most of the target share. Now with Likely out, obviously Andrews is going to get the bulk of the load. So 55% probability that gets a bump. That gets a little bit of a bump there because of Likely being out, and Andrews he should be in for most of the plays and not just blocking plays like he was in the beginning of the season. He should be in to be able to have some targets and have an opportunity to get over that 29.5 receiving yard mark. So out of what we're looking at here, the real value I see coming from here is just probably Mark Andrews because they're going against a team that's terrible at guarding the tight end position, and Isaiah Likely's out, so the usage goes up for Mark Andrews, and 29.5 receiving yards is not that hard to get. He can get that on a couple plays. So I would think you could definitely take a shot, if anything in here, at Mark Andrews to kind of see, he has the best opportunity, I would say. I don't like the statistics with Burrow and Chase, even though they have a great matchup tonight, basically a pass funnel matchup to where they should be airing it out, throughout the whole entire night. So the probability is just not there. Sometimes things always look, good on paper. I'll tell you right now. Things always might look good on paper, and then next thing you know, it doesn't pan out. That's what I'm saying. So that's why when it comes to like probabilities and stuff, that's the hard data. That's the hard truth. Is like on paper, tonight's matchup for Burrow and Chase looks great. Like it looks like Burrow's going to throw for 300. Chase will have over 100 plus receiving. But then when you dive deeper into it and look at the statistics and the data throughout the season of what they've been doing, it's just not there. All right. So again, tonight's one of those nights where it looks like it would be a shootout between these two teams on paper. But when you dive deeper into it, the stats from all these players just doesn't really add up to where it would be a shootout. All right. Now there is one play though in tonight's game that has a 77% chance of hitting. All right. And that is going to be in the F-bomb section tonight, along with a 79% F-bomb for the NBA and a 77% F-bomb for the NHL. Again, if you guys want those, make sure you guys go and click the link in the description and join the group. All right, it's that simple. And also, if you guys are looking for sports books or where to get these numbers and all that stuff, there's a link in the description as well that shows all the sports books, and you get a whole bunch of bonuses and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys are clicking the links in the description because there's value in there whether you want to join the group or you don't. All right, it's that simple. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's show. Till then, I'm out.